prayer is much more than words thrown into the wind. It is an invisible bridge that connects us directly to the Creator of the universe. When we pray, we are not just speaking, we are stepping into a dimension where the impossible becomes possible. Imagine having a direct line to God, an open channel of communication 24 hours a day, with no waiting, no bureaucracy. Just you and Him. Prayer is that key, that secret that few truly understand. It's not just about asking, it's about trusting, opening up, and feeling the divine presence at work, even when everything seems silent. So often, we look for answers in all the wrong places. Money, people, luck, and forget that the solution to life's greatest dilemmas might be found in something so simple yet so powerful. Bending our knees, closing our eyes, and talking to God. Prayer doesn't need fancy words, nor does it require rehearsals. It is born from the heart, raw, sincere, and true. It can be a whisper in the middle of the night, a thought in the midst of chaos, a silent tear that only God understands. And the most incredible part, He always listens. Even when it seems like nothing is happening, heaven is in motion. What if I told you that many of the miracles you long for are already on their way, just waiting for the right moment to be revealed? Prayer doesn't just change the circumstances around us, it changes us. It strengthens our faith, fills us with peace, and gives us the certainty that we are never alone. The real question is, are you truly using this power that is within your reach? Or are you letting life push you along without connecting to the only source capable of transforming any reality? If prayer is the key that opens the doors of the impossible, faith is the force that keeps us standing while we wait for those doors to open. And here's a secret that few understand. When you pray, you can't just throw your words into the wind and hope for something magical to happen. You must believe, deeply, that God is already working, even if your eyes see nothing yet. Faith is the fuel of prayer. Without faith, prayer becomes nothing more than an empty ritual, an echo with no response. But when you pray truly believing, the spiritual realm begins to move. What seemed lost starts to align. What seemed impossible starts to show signs of life. And this is where many people fail. They pray but doubt. They say, "Lord, I believe," but deep inside, they carry fear, uncertainty, and allow anxiety to take over. But true faith does not accept doubt. True faith acts as if the answer has already arrived. Have you ever seen a farmer plant a seed and then dig it up the next day to check if it's growing? No. He trusts the process. He waters, waits, and knows that, in the right time, the harvest will come. God works the same way. Sometimes, He doesn't give us the answer the moment we ask because He is teaching us to trust, to grow, to mature. If He gave you everything the exact second you requested it, your faith would never be strengthened. But when you pray and choose to believe, even when everything around you says otherwise, you are showing that you understand a powerful principle. Physical reality will never be greater than God's power. And this is exactly what separates those who experience miracles from those who live in doubt. Those who have faith do not question time, do not fear circumstances, and do not give up in the face of challenges. Those who have faith know that while they pray, something is happening behind the scenes of heaven. And sooner or later, what was once just a silent request will become a powerful testimony. Many start praying with fervor, but as time passes and the answers don't come as quickly as they'd like, they begin to lose heart. Doubt settles in, emotional exhaustion weighs them down, and before they realize it, their prayers become less frequent, until they disappear completely. But pay attention, the greatest miracles don't happen for those who pray once and give up, but for those who persist, who refuse to let go of the promise, even when everything seems to be against them. Jesus told a parable precisely about this. He spoke of a widow seeking justice from an unjust judge. Day after day, she insisted, knocked on his door, and demanded an answer. The judge, tired of her persistence, eventually granted her request. And Jesus concluded, "If even an unjust judge responded because of persistence, how much more will God, who is just and faithful, answer His children?" Persistent prayer is not just a request, it is a declaration of war against doubt, fear, and the lies that try to make you give up. Every time you pray, you are declaring to the spiritual realm, "I will not back down. I will not give up on what God has promised. I believe, and I will keep believing until the answer comes." And here's something incredible. When you persist in prayer, your faith strengthens, your mind aligns with the promise, and your spirit is filled with certainty. Despair gives way to hope, anxiety transforms into confidence. And suddenly, what once seemed unreachable begins moving toward you. Those who experience great miracles are not the ones who pray only when they feel like it. They are the ones who pray until something happens. They understand that persistence in prayer is not a test for God, it is training for the heart. So if you've ever thought about giving up, today I tell you, keep going. Pray one more time. The answer may be just one prayer away. Many people see prayer as nothing more than a simple request, a wish list sent to heaven, hoping that God will grant it. But there is a secret that few understand. Prayer doesn't just change circumstances, it changes you. When you pray with sincerity, something shifts within your heart. Your desires begin to align with God's plans. Your thoughts are transformed. Your perspective on life expands. What once seemed urgent and non-negotiable may lose its importance, while what was once ignored may suddenly become essential. Imagine a ship out at sea. If it's off course, there's no point in hoping it will reach the right destination. But when prayer becomes a part of your life, it's as if God starts turning the wheel, correcting your direction little by little until you find yourself exactly where you were meant to be. This is why many people, as they embark on a journey of prayer, notice unexpected changes. Situations that once seemed hopeless begin to make sense. Doors that appeared to be locked turn out to be necessary detours. People who stubbornly walked the wrong path suddenly feel an unexplainable desire for change. This is not a coincidence. It is the effect of a mind aligning with God's will. When you pray, your perception shifts, your strength grows, and your faith becomes unshakable. You don't just wait for a miracle, you become the miracle. So if you've been praying only for God to change the situations around you, maybe it's time to ask a different question. Lord, how do you want to transform me through this prayer? When this change happens within you, nothing in the world can stop God's purpose from being fulfilled in your life. Often, we pray with fervor, expecting an immediate response. We want clear signs, visible changes, instant miracles. But what about when everything seems silent? What about when the answer doesn't come at the moment we expect? This is when many give up, believing that God has not heard them. But here's the truth that few understand. God's silence is never His absence. He is working behind the scenes, arranging every detail, preparing the perfect stage for His plan to unfold. Imagine a farmer. He plants the seed and, for weeks or even months, sees nothing but seemingly lifeless soil. But beneath the surface, an invisible process is taking place. Roots are growing, life is forming, and at the right time, the plant will break through. This is how God's answers work. Maybe you're in a season of waiting. Maybe you've prayed prayers that seem unanswered. But what if God is already at work, orchestrating everything down to the smallest detail? What if He is protecting you from something you cannot yet see? The truth is, prayer is never ignored. It always sets something in motion in the spiritual realm. Sometimes the answer comes as a yes. Other times, as a not yet. And in certain moments, as a redirection towards something even greater than what you asked for. Patience in prayer is the ultimate test of faith. It's believing that God is working even when everything seems still. Because He is never inactive. He is preparing something bigger, something you can't see yet. So, don't stop praying. What feels like silence today will become your testimony tomorrow. Most people pray once or twice, and if nothing happens, they give up. But those who truly experience the power of prayer are the ones who persevere, the ones who understand that praying is not just about asking. It's about declaring, believing, and standing firm even when everything seems to be against them. Great miracles don't happen for those who pray casually. They happen for those who make prayer a way of life. Look at the greatest examples of faith in history. They didn't pray just once. They prayed until the impossible bowed before the will of God. Remember Elijah, who fervently prayed for rain without seeing a single sign in the sky. 6 times he sent his servant to look toward the horizon, and 6 times the answer was nothing. But he didn't give up. On the 7th time, a small cloud appeared. Tiny, insignificant to human eyes, but Elijah knew the miracle was on its way. Persistent prayer doesn't just change circumstances, it changes you. It strengthens your faith, realigns your mind, transforms your heart, and prepares you to receive what God has already set in motion for your life. Now, look at your own journey. How many times have you given up before seeing the answer? How many blessings were on the verge of happening but were cut short by a lack of persistence? Today, make a decision. Don't stop. Don't doubt. Don't turn back. Because prayer doesn't just move mountains, it builds bridges between you and the extraordinary plans God has for your life.